Hi, my name is Brad Miller, and this is my site, chronicallyhuman.co. Today is November 26th, 2017, and I want to do this video just to talk about why I'm doing the Chronically Human site and to touch on something that's going on right now that is affecting me personally and millions of other people as well, and that's the so-called opioid crisis. To give you a little history about who I am, I've been suffering from chronic illness for over 30 years. I've had tons of surgery, abdominal surgery that has left me with a permanent ileostomy, terrible adhesions, and I've had a ton of small bowel obstructions, and also gallstones that cause pancreatitis. So all of those medical issues cause tremendous amount of pain. And that's why I think it's miraculous that all human beings have these receptors in our bodies, the opioid receptors, the endocannabinoid receptors, and other receptors and other architecture within the human body that actually responds in a positive way to these compounds that are found in nature. And I think that the reason why people have gotten so excited about the opioid crisis is a couple-fold. One is that government always seeks to increase its power. So anytime it hears about something that it can pass a law on, it's going to do that, right? Politicians love to grandstand. They love to get up and talk to people, love to have crying mothers at their side saying, what are you going to do about this, right? And politicians, that's how they make their living. The second reason why this is such a big deal, the opioid crisis, is that because it's not just opioids that are causing these deaths. They're saying now 55,000 people are associated with opioid overdoses, and that's a little misleading. They call it concomitant. That's taking substances together, and nearly all the opioid deaths involve other substances. That is alcohol, that is street drugs, black market drugs that are cut with fentanyl. Fentanyl is a super powerful drug that is amazing. I had ketamine and fentanyl for the first time in this last surgery back in August, and it kills pain instantly, and the ketamine helped to produce a mental calm and clarity after surgery that I'd never had before in all these 30 years. So these drugs are not poisons. These drugs are not demonic. These drugs are actually, these compounds, these chemicals are actually miraculous. And I think that's the side that gets lost in this soundbite debate that we have going on right now about controlling access to opioids. And thirdly, I think the reason why we're having this issue about opioids is that we truly do not have sovereignty over our minds and our bodies in this country. And that's really an important part. And I think healthcare is the way it is. I think that all of these negative aspects of prohibition and control are resulting in skyrocketing healthcare costs, and people not getting the medicine that they need, and people going to the black market to do so. And I've had restricted access to pain medicine before. I've had pharmacies say that they can't fill it. I've gone to several pharmacies when I have a legitimate prescription, which all of them are legitimate, but they say they can't fill it because their pharmacist is on vacation, and the person who orders that can't come in, can't order it. And then you go to another place, well, we can't access our safe. It's in our safe, but we can't get to it. That is insanity. These drugs are super cheap, and they've been used by humans throughout the last 5,000 to 10,000 years at least. Extracts from the poppy plant have revolutionized what it means to be human, right? Physical pain doesn't have to exist. Human suffering will always exist in one form or another, but we have these medicinal, these plant tools to help us not suffer. And when I talk about suffering, it's not about a pain that you can just get over. It's not a pain that you can mentally escape. I don't know if you've ever been broken by pain before, but if you have, you know what it's like to have your entire consciousness erased. That you have no higher brain function once that pain takes over. Your body and your mind are broken. I've had that happen many times. And even when you're in a hospital setting, this last time around, I didn't have my pain managed correctly. They had all the available resources to do so, but it didn't occur. I suffered for 3 days where if I could have jumped out a window, I would have. And this was all made clear to the people there as well. Pain is such an individual experience, and there's no test currently to show where the pain is. And that's why I think that we don't need to just ease up access for opioids. What we need to do is revamp the entire medical system and change the way we think about health. Right now we think about health as going to a doctor, right? Well, I think that health in the future will be so individualized that individuals will create their own health plans from different health consultants, right? And the main thing that we need to do is to recognize that everyone has sovereignty over their own mind and body. If you don't own yourself, then somebody else does, right? And currently we've relinquished our self-control, our self-ownership over to the DEA, over to local health and human services boards, over to all of these politicians and even our neighbors who can vote to take away our innate, if you will, God-given right to ingest whatever substances we choose. Just because you intake a substance does not negate your responsibility for your actions. And that's why I'm calling for something a little bit radical. And I think you have to do these things in order to get people's attention and to really drill down to the philosophical bedrock where these ideas rest. And the idea that I'm proposing is to draft an amendment. It would be the 28th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution, and that would be to simply state that every individual has the innate, inherent, natural right to ingest, sell, grow, trade, or gift any substance that they deem fit. That will, in one sentence, revolutionize healthcare. Think about a world where everything is available over the counter. Pfizer, Merck, and all these other companies can no longer hide behind the FDA. They can no longer hide behind their corrupt influence through advertising, their corrupt influence through doctors that you don't know are receiving payment. Instead, Pfizer, Merck, and other companies, they would be like Apple or Microsoft. They would open up retail stores where you could go in. And I can even envision a time when these drug companies will pay for your doctor. They'll pay for your blood test because they want you to remain healthy so you can take more of their products in the future. Instead, what they're trying to do, it's almost like a stock pump and dump. They try to get doctors all excited about drugs. They try to get it on TV and into the national consciousness, right? And they want to sell billions and billions of it, so when they start killing people or maiming people or seriously affecting people, that they have a war chest to pay out. And so that drug is still super, super profitable. But I believe that once all drugs, all chemicals are legal, all substances are legal, people will be able to buy safer drugs because they no longer have to go to the black market. Big pharmaceutical companies will have to deal with the customer one-on-one. Patients now become customers, and that will change everything in the medical community. And finally, you'll be able to grow your own pharmacy in your backyard. Think about being able to grow your own cannabis, your own medicinal mushrooms, and your own poppies, right? So if you can control your pain, if you can, you would have a sleep aid, you would have compounds in mushrooms that actually lower cholesterol, that have powerful antibiotic, antiviral properties. Recently, I heard Paul Stamets on the Joe Rogan Experience, and it blew my mind. He said that they have an extract from a mushroom that cures the human papillomavirus. I think that's how you say it, HPV, right? And so all of these vaccines out there, how many hundreds of millions of dollars have drug companies made on vaccines when this mushroom that you can grow at home, the extract of it can cure, even after 12 months, people are clear of this virus in their bodies. And that's the fundamental idea shift is, what if for the last 100 years, the pharmaceutical companies had to deal directly with the consumer? What if the research went into natural compounds of the cannabis plant? What if that was never illegal? What if medicinal mushrooms were never illegal, right? The world would be a totally different place. Everybody would have, if they wanted to, a pharmacopoeia, a complete pharmacopoeia in their backyard. And I think that's going to be the future. The future is going to be personalized medicine to the point where you can grow your own or you can go down to CVS if they're still around, or click on Amazon, which could become the largest distributor of drugs in the world, and that would change people's health tremendously. People say, oh, just go to the doctor, just change doctors if you don't like what they're saying. What happens with that mentality is that you have a licensing board, you have the CDC, the DEA giving guidelines, and their livelihoods are on the line. And so once these restrictions become more and more strangling, you're going to have a groupthink within doctors. So it doesn't matter who you go to. It doesn't matter what pharmacy you go to. Most of the states now have you sign pain contracts. This country was built on not having to sign oaths to the monarch, and I think that pain contract it's an archaic, it's an idea based on the premise that they own me and I don't own myself. I'm not self-governing, I'm not self-responsible, right? Once these substances are in the culture, once people are able to access them without restrictions, people are going to change behavior, because you can't if you take too much of something, then you're not going to want to take it again, because you want to live. I want to live, and most people who take pain medicine not to lay on the couch and be spaced out. They want to be able to live, to function, to socialize, to have relationships in their life that's not pain. My number one relationship I've had for the last 30 years is with my pain, and that, I got to tell you, is a terrible, terrible way to live. And there's compounds, and there's chemicals, and there's plant allies, and there's medicines that should be available, but due to the complicated Byzantine bureaucracy that we live under, they're not. I shouldn't have to go pay $50 to a doctor hoping and praying that he's going to give me a permission slip, so I can go to a pharmacy and hope and pray that their computers, quote unquote, will allow me to have a prescription filled so I can have my pain relieved, you know? I say, fuck that. I say, fuck you people who think that too, because you're messing with people's lives. How many suicides are caused by chronic pain in this country, right? Nobody talks about that. Nobody wants to delve into that dark world, because 44,000 people a year choose to end their life because of emotional and physical pain. And we have the tools right now, immediately, that can save all of their lives, or most of them at least. The next episode, I'm going to talk about ketamine, and how ketamine can help people who want to end their lives. And that'll be something that I think everybody knows somebody who has cancer, and everybody's been touched by suicide in some way. And so those two things I think are very important. And I'm going to keep harping on this idea of a 28th Amendment to get government out of your health. If you can say any words you want, if what comes out of your mouth is protected by the U.S. Constitution, what goes in, it should be as well.